Oi, tudo bem? Estamos aqui com mais um Summit Tech hoje. Para quem não conhece, o Summit ele é um evento que a gente faz anualmente em São Paulo. E esse ano a gente lançou a nossa plataforma de conteúdo, a gente tem conteúdo aí o ano inteiro. Um desses conteúdos, uma dessas ações que a gente faz é o Summit Tech, com uma grade focada em tecnologia. E hoje a gente está aqui com duas presenças super especiais para a gente. Uma delas é o Yuri, que é o nosso parceiro aqui, ele é diretor do MIT, ele é nosso parceiro fazendo essa ponte para a gente com o MIT. Vou chamar o Yuri aqui já para fazer uma apresentação para a gente, falar um pouco, se apresentar, contar um pouco da história dele também, e dessa parceria que a gente tem com o MIT, e também um pouco da startup que a gente está trazendo aqui hoje para trazer esse conteúdo. Oi, Yuri, tudo bem?
Oi, Natália, tudo bom? Obrigado por nos receber aqui, nós do MIT, é um grande prazer ter vocês, um parceiro nosso, a gente participando do evento do B2W Summit. Explicando um pouquinho, então, a Natália falava do MIT, eu sou um dos diretores do MIT ILP. Eu estou aqui em Boston, nos Estados Unidos, né, onde fica o MIT, e o ILP é basicamente um time do MIT que conecta grandes empresas ao MIT, a pesquisadores, a tecnologia, a pesquisa, a professores, a startups. A gente vai ter uma das nossas startups hoje aqui. Falamos de mais ou menos 250 empresas ao redor do mundo, são grandes empresas, a B2W, né, é com grande satisfação que nós temos a B2W como uma dessas 250 empresas ao redor do mundo, entre elas empresas como a Apple, como Samsung, como a Boeing, como muitas outras empresas desse porte aí. E como parte dessa parceria, uma das coisas que nós do MIT trazemos, né, para os nossos membros, como a B2W, são as nossas startups. São quase 2.000 startups que foram fundadas por gente do MIT, professores, alunos, ex-alunos, né, que estão super ativas, com coisas muito inovadoras, como vai ser o caso de hoje, né? Hoje nós vamos trazer aqui, eu vou começar a apresentar agora o nosso colega, o nosso palestrante, né? Só que antes um pouquinho do tema, né? O Summit tem como tema a questão da cotransformação, né? E dentro dos subtemas aí, que a gente discutiu com a B2W quer trazer um pouco para todos vocês aqui, de forma mais técnica, essa questão de comunicação, da interação com o cliente. E é aí que nossa startup de hoje aqui, a Posh, vai falar um pouco disso aí. A Posh é uma startup, o fundador, o Karan Kashyap, foi que ele com seu fundador desenvolveram. É uma solução, hoje em dia, quando a gente liga num IVR, num IVR, mesmo num chatbot, muitos online, a interação, muitos são bons e muitos ela é just ok, é só mais ou menos, né? Ela muitas vezes não leva em consideração, né, especialmente os chatbots, toda a sua conversação, todo o seu chat com ele. Basicamente, ele vai levar em consideração a última informação. O que o Karan e o pessoal da Posh fizeram, ele leva em consideração o bot, que é um bot conversacional, a propósito, um bot de conversação, ele leva em consideração toda a conversa que o cliente, nesse caso, teve com o bot, e não apenas aquela última frase, né? Eles têm uma patente, né? É um produto que está patenteado, uma startup jovem, que está, nesse momento, atuando, em especial, no segmento financeiro, mas expandindo para outras áreas, então. Então, eu vou começar a apresentar um pouquinho, já vou falar do Karan. O Karan Kashyap é o cofundador e CEO da Posh. O Karan, ele é uma daquelas crias do MIT, ele tem sua graduação em Engenharia e Ciência da Computação pelo MIT e o mestrado em Inteligência Artificial também pelo MIT, né? E essa startup dele, a Posh, P-O-S-H, Posh, aqui de Boston, desenvolveram uma solução de AI, inteligência artificial, para conversação de bots. O termo em inglês é conversational chatbots, né? Antes da Posh, o Karan trabalhou na SquarePeg Capital, um fundo de venture capital, aqui também nos Estados Unidos, né? E agora só um detalhe, pessoal, como a palestra vai ser em inglês, e o Karan só fala inglês, eu vou passar agora a gente passa a palestra toda para inglês, eu vou apresentar o Karan, a mesma apresentação que eu acabei de fazer, vou fazer agora em inglês, e aí eu passo a bola para ele. So everybody, thanks for having us, MIT, Karan Kashyap, it's really nice to be here again. So for those who don't know, Karan was here again last year, so he's back. So his talk was so interesting, and what he talks about is so exciting that B2W wanted him to come back. So let me introduce to you guys Karan Kashyap. Karan, as I told you, hey Karan, how are you? Good to see you.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you okay. So a quick intro, and then the ball will be with you. So everybody, Karan Kashyap is, as I told you, in Portuguese, had his undergrad and master's with MIT. He studied computer science and engineering at MIT, and then his master's in artificial intelligence at MIT. Actually, as if I'm not wrong, Karan, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the idea of Posh came out of the MIT AI lab. Is this correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then, so Posh, this Boston-based conversational AI startup, was founded out of MIT AI's lab, artificial intelligence. So Karan, as I told you guys, he's really this MIT guy, and his co-founder, same thing, Matt is his name. And then before Posh, Karan worked as a venture capitalist at Square Peg Capital. So Karan, now I'll hand you the mic, and please, the ball is with you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for the introduction. So I'm just pulling up my slides now, and I'm going to do a full screen. So yeah, so it's awesome to be back at the event. Last year I was there in person in São Paulo, and I actually did a couple of days in São Paulo before and after the conference, and then the weekend I actually went to Rio. So my first time in Brazil, I wanted to make sure I visited Rio. So I got to spend some time and the beach, and also seeing the Christ the Redeemer, and getting to eat a lot of great food. So very nice trip. But I can't believe that was already a year ago. But now it's 2020. It's been an exciting year. But we're growing as a company. I'm very happy to be back and presenting about Posh. So I'll give you some information about Posh background and talk about some of the technology that we're doing and why it's interesting and why it's adding a lot of value to our customers. And then I'll also take some time to show you some demos of what we're doing with our products. And then I'll pause along the way. If you have questions, please feel free to ask me some questions. I'll pause a few times. So first of all, Posh is a conversational AI company. So what that basically means is that it's a combination of trends like natural language processing, speech recognition, machine learning. All of these different subfields of artificial intelligence come together for a conversational AI. So like Siri from Apple or Alexa from Amazon, there's been a big movement in the industry and enterprise verticals to bring in conversational AI technologies to different enterprise use cases. So I'll get more into what we're doing specifically today. We have a big focus actually on financial services. We work with a lot of banks, credit unions, cooperatives, as well as payments companies. And now we're getting into other verticals, insurance vertical, retail, and beyond. So I'll talk a little bit about our journey so far. But the origin of Posh, we are a company that came out of MIT's research lab in the summer of 2018. So we're just about 2 years old as a company now. So it's been a very exciting 2 years for sure. I started the company 2 years back with my co-founder, who's also our CTO. His name is Matt McEachern. So he and I were actually both in the same research lab together. We were both doing our master's research at MIT. I was focused actually on teaching AI how to understand Spanish and English intermittently. So I was doing a lot of research around language adaptability, and he was actually doing a lot of research around recognizing someone's voice. So on the speech side. So we thought, both of our work is very similar, but also complementary. And so we thought that doing a company together, given our background, was a very interesting idea. So 2018 is actually when Bank of America had launched Erica around 2016, 2017. Capital One, another big bank, launched Eno, their chatbot, in 2017, 2018. So Bank of America, they launched Erica chatbot. Capital One, they launched the Eno chatbot. So we recognize that a lot of the big companies, the big banks, are doing conversational AI and chatbots. So there's an opportunity for us as a startup company to try to build similar technologies, but sell it to smaller companies, right? Because smaller banks, they don't have the money or the resources, the expertise, or even potentially the time to invest in building out their own versions of these Erica and Eno kinds of chatbots. So smaller banks, cooperatives, credit unions, those type of companies are going to rely on a business like Posh to give them that technology capabilities. So that's how the company started, actually. We started, once Matt, he finished his master's in 2018. I actually finished in 2017. So for about a year, I was doing some of the early work behind Posh. But once Matt graduated in 2018, we formally started Posh as a company. A lot of our first employees were actually our friends. So we hired a lot of our friends from MIT as part of our first team. And we went into the market looking at ways that we could use our technology from MIT, which I'll get into in a little bit, for how can we help businesses basically solve challenges. So you see up here that one of the major challenges that we're focusing on is around customer connection, right? Every business wants to provide more personalized interaction, more 24/7, 365 service to their customers. But it's not just enough to answer basic questions. It's important for an AI to be able to handle more complex type of questions, but also to bring in more personalization, doing workflow RPA, workflow automation through robotic process automation. So these are all things that are very important for AI to do, not just answer a question, but really provide value, behind the scenes, behind the authentication as well. So today we have two kinds of products. We have one is a chatbot, a messaging-based product, and the other product is a voice-based product. So on the voice side, it's on the telephone system. So when you call into one of our customers, instead of hearing a human basically saying, thanks for calling, please wait on hold, and they'll put you on hold, or instead of calling in and hearing a robotic voice saying, press 1, press 2, press 3, press 4, you have all those different options to press, going from the different options in the tree. Instead of doing it that way, we wanted to bring in a more natural AI voice to the phone system so that we don't have any hold times. We don't want to keep people waiting on hold, but we also want to make sure that we're able to provide a more natural interface than having the different options that people can press. They can just speak in a natural way. So that was the idea behind our product. So I'll talk a little bit about the team, and then I can go more into the technology and what we're doing. So the cool thing about being in Boston is that we have really great access to top talent here. So Boston is very good for AI because we have MIT, we have Harvard. It's very good for speech because we have big companies here, Apple, Amazon, Nuance, all these pretty well-known companies, even IBM. They all have offices in Boston because there's very good talent here. So we decided we would stay in Boston as a company. A lot of startups, they come out of MIT, but they move to San Francisco. Because we're doing speech and AI, we wanted to stay in a place like Boston because there's really good talent. So today we're about 23 people actually. So we've gone more than double since last summer. So when I was in Brazil last summer for this conference, we were only 7 people 1 year ago. We went from 7 people last year at the BTW event now to 23. So pretty big growth as far as our headcount goes. But we've been able to build a really great team overall in terms of the type of talent we've been able to bring in. Our employees, they come from not only top research schools, but also from top industry background. Google, Red Hat, Spirit, Liberty Mutual. These pretty well-known companies, both here and even globally. So as I mentioned, we're working with a lot of smaller banks today. So we have about 20 customers now. When we started this year, we were working with about five customers at the beginning of the year. So now we're already working with 20. So we've seen with the COVID-19, there's been a big emphasis and a big increase in demand for our products because I think everyone is looking more for AI now, right? Because it's difficult now to have with more questions, more problems coming in the call center side or the contact center, but also it's difficult now to hire people or to put people in the call center building. Everything is being kind of pushed more towards a remote service model. The need for AI technology, especially what we're doing, has gone up a lot. So we expect that by the end of the year we'll probably have 30 or 40 customers is the target, and we're on our way to accomplishing that. So a lot of our customers they are based mostly in the U.S. right now. So we have been focusing a lot on mostly English and Spanish languages. So we're starting to do some stuff with French and German and stuff as well. Maybe Portuguese is the next language we do. But a lot of what we've been doing has been focused on looking at English and Spanish, but also specifically so far in the banking, right? So most of these customers you see here are banks. They're smaller banks. Small banks typically are less than $10 billion in assets, which is pretty small actually. If you look at Capital One or Chase Bank or Bank of America, they're hundreds of billions or even trillions in assets. So compared to those banks, our customers are in the billions of dollars size. So they're still small, but they're still billions of dollars in size. So they're not actually that small. But that's kind of our focus today has been a lot on working in the banking side. When we started the company, we realized that for an AI to get really good, it's important to start by focusing on a use case. So we thought we would start by focusing on banking so that we could really focus on just those kinds of use cases before we try to go too broad. Because with AI, you have healthcare, you have telecom, you have retail, you have banking, of course, and all the other kinds of verticals. It becomes very difficult for the AI to learn all the different words, terminologies, patterns of the different verticals. So for our benefit, we said, let's focus on this vertical to start with. Right now we're at a point where we're actually expanding. We're working with an insurance company now. We're looking to work with retail companies because we have a more mature platform now. And over time, I think we'll keep going on that trend. But here's the feature from MIT News. So a few months ago, we were featured by MIT News as top MIT spin-off company for conversational AI. It highlighted the fact that we have conversational memory in our chatbots. So I'll talk a little bit more about that now. So first of all, this is kind of the focus of the business value, right? What we're really focusing on in terms of our product is that it's expensive to run a 24/7 call center or contact center providing customer service. It's a very expensive thing to do. It's also very difficult to provide personalization. When you have a traditional call center or customer service, that individual employee may not exactly know who you are as an individual customer or user, right? So there's a difficulty in being more personalized, right? Because each employee is talking to hundreds or thousands of people. They're not going to necessarily have the ability to really get to know you. So there are C360, customer 360 platforms, CRMs. These are all ways that they've tried to bring in more personalized concept into customer service. But AI is kind of the next wave of that, right? Because the nice thing about AI is the computing power of the AI is almost infinite, right? So each individual AI deployment, even though it's one entity, one AI model, can actually keep track of thousands or hundreds of thousands of individual conversations with different people. And so there's a big value in the level of personalization that we're able to accomplish when you're using technologies like a machine learning or like an artificial intelligence. But the problem with AI, right, because AI is not new, it's becoming a lot better now. There's been a huge wave. Google launched a lot of big improvements. Last year, they launched a model called BERT, kind of a breakthrough in NLP and AI. OpenAI is another company. Elon Musk is kind of famously associated with OpenAI. They launched some really great models. GPT-3 kind of being the newest one they launched. That's causing another big wave of hype and excitement. But it's not a new thing. AI has been around for many years, and so we've seen that there's been difference between what we're expecting out of AI and also what AI historically has been able to actually do as far as the performance goes. So this is an example of a bank use case, right? You're transferring money from your checking account. So this is you as the member, and then you have a traditional chatbot. Like an older chatbot or even some of the current chatbots that are not leveraging the sophistication of what Posh is able to do today as far as context understanding, memory, advanced AI models. So what we see is that, the bot is able to answer questions basically. You can say one thing, the bot is able to respond in a reasonable way. But the bot really has a hard time here when the question the member asks is going back to a previous topic. So when the member wants to make a transfer to their checking account and he says, actually, hold on, how much do I have in my savings account? And then he comes back and says, okay, let's do $50. This $50, okay, do the $50 actually refers back to the original topic, which is making the transfer. There was this middle topic that is a little bit different from the original topic, right? So a lot of the bots that we see, and very common even with our major competitors, our larger competitors today, is that they're really struggling with this idea of what we call memory persistence, right? So this is Posh's scenario, right? We're able to handle this idea of changes in memories. We actually have a word called multi-threading. So that's the kind of the technical term behind it, is the idea that a conversation might actually have multiple different threads that are kind of getting switched, right? And it's important for a human when we talk that we're able to keep track of these threads, and we do that really well. But it's something that has been really difficult for AI to do, because a lot of AI has been reliant on state machines. A lot of the idea of handling topics and managing state has really been revolving around state machines. And there's been some recent advancements with machine learning and AI. Most recently, there's some stuff called RNN, recurrent neural networks, or LSTM, which is long short-term memory-based networks. They're doing a better job of bringing in more memory into the AI models. But we actually have some IP that we filed a patent for when we came out of MIT that complements both the systems approach as well as the neural or neural network-based approach to this. So this is like our secret sauce, right? A lot of what we do is built around a better idea for managing memory persistence. And then this is actually what that MIT article was kind of highlighting as far as what we do. So this is a demo of our bot. You'll see here that the bot is available on the website. This is one of our customers called DCU, Digital Credit Union. They're actually also based in the Boston area. But they're a big bank. They have almost 1 million users, and they have about $10 billion in assets. And so you can see that the bot is able to answer questions. It's able to navigate the user on the different pages of the website. We're able to have these buttons that show up. These are called suggestion bubbles. The suggestion bubbles try to predict what the user is going to say next, but it's also useful for what we call triaging, or helping the user navigate through different kinds of products and offerings. So from a retail use case and stuff, it makes a lot of sense where we're able to bring in the idea of triaging for different kinds of products or different actions that the customer might want to take. So you see here too that there are some situations where the bot can clarify the question, and there's also some use cases where we might ask a very complicated question. So I might ask a very complicated question that has multiple steps to the question, but we've designed our AI so that it's intelligent enough to even handle more lengthy inputs or more complicated inputs. So you'll see here in this example that we're typing in this pretty long query here about the wallet being stolen. So the wallet was stolen with my credit card in it. So even with a fairly complex input, the bot is able to understand it very easily. And one thing that we do, because even a very good AI is not always going to understand the answer to every question. So it's important for us that we have the ability to do a human support, right? So in this use case here, you see if I ask to speak to a representative or ask to speak to a customer service agent, if it's after hours, so in the case where the customer may not have a live chat solution, they might only have the call center or customer service from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. After 6 o'clock at night, on holidays, in the weekends, we want to make sure that we can provide service. So we have the ability to do service tickets. We can create tickets where we can basically schedule a follow-up or make sure that someone on the business is able to reach out to the customer when they're back during hours. So this is a case study with that customer. So we went live with that customer a few months back, actually. So every month now we're handling about 45,000 chats for that customer. And before Posh, before they put our AI, they used to have a live chat, and they used to also have a support contact form flow for support. So before Posh, it was a live chat. They used a company called Pega Systems. They're a pretty large company. But what they saw was that a lot of the people that wanted to reach out, they were coming in the evenings, or they were looking to reach out on the weekends. So since launching our bot 24/7 self-service, we are handling now 3 times the volume that they were able to handle previously. So out of the 45,000 we're handling now, before they were only handling about 15,000 or 17,000 conversations each month. But even though the volume has gone up 3x, we're seeing that the success of the bot to keep the chat within the bot and not escalate them has gone down by 62%. So like we're doing 62% better than what the previous the previous live chat and stuff was able to do in terms of total escalations. So even though there's a 3x increase, there's also a 2/3 decrease in the escalations that we we're able to deliver. So it's a really exciting kind of use case of our solution. So this is a different credit union. This is called Affinity Plus. This is not a demo. I just wanted to show that we have something called context transfer as well. So this is a live chat product. This is actually by Cisco. So Cisco ECE or UCCX. These are all the customer service technologies that a lot of enterprises are using. So we have an integration with Cisco as well. So when the chatbot is not able to answer the question, we can pop up the Cisco chat window you see here. So the question that you see here from the chatbot is automatically being put in the Cisco here. It's happening automatically. So the user is able to just keep the conversation going, with the Cisco. So one thing I want to mention about our platform, and I'll talk about more on the voice side next, is that we've designed our platform to be multi-channels, right? So we're doing right now web, mobile, SMS, IVR, Alexa, Google Home. We're getting into things like social media and stuff like that as well. But the reason we're able to do all these different channels is because we have an open API platform. So our platform is designed to be open API so that we can integrate with different systems, a CRM system, telephony system, like a Cisco, Genesys, those kinds of telephony systems. And also with just general databases and data lakes and systems that you guys already use. So, we have a lot of ability to be flexible, in terms of how we integrate with different systems. And then the last thing that I mentioned too is that we've been audited, because we work with a lot of banks. For our bank customers, security is very important because they're dealing with money and digital money. So we have to go through pretty strict audit processes so that we can handle things like credit cards and touching sensitive systems. So we have something called a SOC 2 Type 2 audit that we went through every 12 months. So we are officially audited for security as well. And then besides the core platform, we also have what we call a content management system. So I can talk about that a little bit, and if we have time, maybe I'll show you. But it's actually like a studio, a content studio. So all of our customers are able to actually manage their own content through our content studio. They can control how the bot looks. If you looked at this chat bot here, it looks a little bit different than the chat bot you see here, because we want to make sure that the color scheme and the design is consistent with the website. So we want to give our customers the ability to customize the look and the feel of the bot. So the content studio or the bot studio allows them to control colors, the name of the bot, some rules like when does the bot appear, when does the handoff, all of the responses, the functionality, everything is configurable by our customer, right? Because if we didn't do that, then as we keep growing, as we get more customers, it becomes very difficult for Posh to do all of that, because we don't want to have to keep hiring a lot of people just to do these things. So instead of us doing it, we made it so that the customer is now able to use our dashboard to do it themselves, and that's making everyone happy. We have analytics. Very important for any kind of technology, especially AI, is you have to have analytics, because a lot of AI it has to get better over time, because it's machine learning. It actually learns to get better. Without having analytics, without having a quantitative tracking, you can't make it improve. So the phrase that I like to use is that it's very difficult to improve something that you can't measure, right? So you have to measure it before you can improve it. So that's why analytics is very important. So this is a demo now of a more integrated bot. So the demo I showed you with the digital credit union DCU, that was more on their website. So this is how it looks when the user actually logs into their bank account, right? So when I log into my bank account, you'll see that the user is logged in. You see your portal here, the dollars and different accounts that you have. You scroll down, you'll see our bot is popping up now, right? So this is an example of a bot that's actually doing transactions and functionality. We're able to provide kind of rich content here, images, GIFs, videos. You can upload documents, you can download files, all the more personalized kind of use cases, right? So everything from looking at your previous spending to getting e-statements, doing auto pay, troubleshooting things as well, right? Like if you're having trouble, updating your password or things like that, you can do that in an authenticated environment like this. So these are kinds of the things that we're able to do in a conversational manner through the bot. So this is a lot like what Bank of America, Capital One, these other kind of well-known bots have in terms of the functionality we're supporting here. So this product, by the way, this dashboard is actually owned by a company called NCR. So NCR, again, big company. So we have a partnership with them so that we're able to deploy this technology within the NCR banking portal, like you see here. So a lot of our customers are able to use that technology. So I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing as a next step, right? Very quickly. So one of the cool things that we're doing is that a lot of what I showed you so far is about how does the chatbot answer questions, how does it reduce the number of calls that are coming in, how does it help serve the customer question, right? But one thing we want to really start doing, and this is actually something we've been working on now for several months, it's launching in September, so in about a month from now, is how can we use the chatbot to actually be useful for marketing, right? For sales and marketing, not just customer service, but also digital marketing use cases as well. So we're launching something called the conversational campaign, right? Basically what that is that when you have a bot like this, when it's sitting on an account where you have to log in with your username and password, once you log in, we know how much money you have in your accounts. We know more information about you, your name, your age, your address, how much money you're making each month, how much money you're spending each month, where you're spending your money. Are you spending your money on Starbucks, or are you spending your money on on tuition for college? Are you spending your money on a lot of restaurants and traveling and hotels? So like based on this information, we can actually start to drive more sales and marketing, right? Because once we know how someone spends their money, we know a lot about that person. So we're bringing in the idea of advertising into our product. And for our customers, like I mentioned, they're mostly banks and credit unions and cooperatives. They have products like loans and credit cards, and they want to increase their membership. They want to increase the deposits that they have. So for them, it's very exciting because we can start to target specific people. We can target people that are 35 years old or older, that have at least $10,000 in their savings, and that maybe they've been a member for at least 2 years of the bank. So we can start to do that kind of filtering and then adjust the content of the chatbot to target them specifically. So this is something that's very exciting for us, right? You can actually launch these marketing campaigns. You see the analytics around these campaigns as part of our dashboard. And it's better than just ads. If you have an ad, it's like a banner ad or a image or something like that. We're designed to just ignore it, right? If you look at Facebook, if you look at LinkedIn, you're scrolling down the LinkedIn or Facebook, you see ads, you don't really look at them, you just keep going. So having advertisement as part of the conversation is something that's really powerful. And that's almost being launched now in 1 month, so we're really excited. But besides the advertising aspect, there's also the idea of doing surveys. So can we start to personalize surveys for customers of our businesses? Can we start to offer loyalty rewards through customers of our businesses in a personalized way through the chatbot? Being more of like your friend or a coach than being like a customer service, right? So that's the advantage of having an AI, is that it can start to really understand who you are as a customer and benefit you by giving you discounts or by targeting offers to you based on what your profile is. So that's the benefit of having that customer understanding. So last few minutes, I want to talk about the voice side of the product. So this is another case study. This is on the telephone side. So when a customer calls in, we're able to actually use our AI to answer the call. And I'll give you a demo of how that sounds in just a second. But we're handling about 100,000 calls per month for this bank called Chartway. They're in Virginia, pretty close to Washington, D.C. They're about 2.5 billion assets. They have about 200,000 users. So our 100,000 calls per month, we have a 95.4% containment rate. So out of the 100,000 calls per month, 95,000 plus of those calls, our AI is handling the whole thing. Only about 5,000 of those calls are actually being transferred to a customer service. right? And when we first launched with the bot, when we first launched this, it was in October of last year. So we've been live with this customer for almost 1 year. When we first launched, we were doing about 81%, 83%. So now it's 90, 95, 97% is kind of what we're hitting now. So somewhere between 95 and 97% now, whereas just 9 months ago, we were at 81 to 83%. So it's very important when you use AI to understand that it won't be perfect from day one, right? It has to learn, it has to improve over time. So you'll see that over 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, the improvement is pretty good. Especially with our technology, we've designed it so that it's really good. But in the case of AI in general, it's important to understand that it gets better over time. So day 1 is very different from day 90, very different from day 180. So just keep that in mind. But here's the analytics. We have an analytics dashboard, like I mentioned. So this is an image of our analytics dashboard. So you'll see that this is April 1st of this year to June 30th, right? So about 3 months. It's the Q2 2020, second quarter. We handled a total of 304,000 calls for this customer. We saved them about 8,000 hours of human customer service time. And in that 3 months, we worked with their business team, and we calculated that we saved them $153,000 in savings just in 3 months. So in the span of 1 year, we're saving them about $600,000 is what we're calculating with our product. So this is a daily volume. So April daily volume is higher because this is when the pandemic was very bad everywhere. So now that the pandemic, the COVID-19 is getting a little bit better, more calm, we're seeing that the call volumes have started to stabilize a little bit the past few months. But one thing to note is that you see the light blue and a dark blue. There's 2 colors here. The light blue is the number of calls that our AI system was able to handle. The dark blue is the calls that our AI system had to escalate to a human representative. So I mentioned that the AI gets better over time. So if you actually look from April through even just the end of June, you'll see that the relative size of the dark blue is actually going down, right? So you can actually see here how the AI is getting better. So that's just an example of again how the AI is learning. And if I go back and show you the same data from October or even January, you'll see that back then the dark blue was much bigger. And if I show you the data now from August, you'll see that the dark blue is even smaller now than it was even back in June. So just a very exciting things to show. So I'll show you a demo of the voice product, and then I'll pause for some questions before I kind of continue with what I have. But here's a demo of how it actually sounds.
Thanks for calling Teachers. In a few words, how may I assist you today?
I just need to transfer $500 to checking.
Sure, I can help make that transfer. I need to authenticate you first though. Based on your phone number, I noticed that you're enrolled in our Voice ID program. Can you please confirm your member number for me?
Actually don't know my member number.
No worries. Do you know your ATM or debit card PIN code?
Sure, it's 2359.
Thanks. You're verified. So, for the transfer, from which account would you like to move money?
From my savings.
Okay, just confirming you want to move $500 to checking from savings.
Actually, can we do $750?
Okay, transferring $750 from savings to checking. Is that right?
Yep, that sounds good.
Great. Your transfer was successful. Your new checking balance is $1,150.32, and your new savings balance is $8,740.17. Let me know if there's anything else today.
Cool. So yeah, I'll just stop there and see if there's any questions that have come up. I do have some asks for help from you guys as well. So thank you for taking the time to listen to everything I had. And there's a lot more I can show you, but I have to keep it condensed for the time. So first, I'll just see if you have any questions so far.
Yeah, we do have a question from the audience. Karan, let me start with this one. I think we can do now a couple questions, maybe 2 or 3 questions. So the first one, bear with me, I need to translate it. How hard it would be, and wow, that it is. So and the steps to use this, what they call framework, in other languages they're not English.
Yeah, good question. So it's very easy to actually get a new language supported, but it's very hard to become really good at that new language, right? So we're currently supporting Spanish in our customer bots. We have German and French languages that are almost ready to go as well. So probably by October, we'll launch German and French. And we've gotten interest from some companies in Japan for Japanese and some other languages too. So the thing is that it's fairly easy to get up and running with a new language. So there's some great open source models and stuff that you can use to augment what you already have to support language translation and machine translation. But the problem is that when you're dealing with a specific type of domain like banking, it's easy to support the language, but it's very hard to make that a really good support, right? If that makes sense. So a lot of what our NLP team is doing, so you saw our team slide, we have a lot of AI researchers from MIT and from Harvard and things like that. A lot of their job is to, yes, we want to support the language, but we want to make sure that it's actually a very good support, right? We don't want to reduce the accuracy percentage or make the experience less exciting because we've not spent as much time into perfecting the language. So it's a trade-off. We can launch a new language sooner, but it might take some time for us to make it a really, really good model, like the way we have right now for English and Spanish. It might take a little bit longer to make it as good as those kinds of languages too, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you. Another question is, so why do you think people are that, customers are that frustrated with existing solutions like chatbots, IVRs, and other agents? So you guys may have discussed this in the MIT AI lab. Maybe that's when you came with a solution. So why do you think people are so mad and upset with the existing solutions?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of main reasons. So one is that chatbots have been around for many years, but only in the past couple of years has there been a big kind of development in AI and NLP. So, within AI, we're really focused on natural language processing. And so really since the beginning of 2019, there's been some major upgrades to, what's available with what Google and OpenAI and other big companies have been able to do. They kind of paved the way for a lot of innovation in AI. So the first part of the answer is that, before 2019 or even before this year, the quality of the AI just wasn't as good. So I think a lot of people were frustrated because honestly, it was a little bit too early for doing chatbots a few years back. It was not as accurate as it is today. But the other reason is what we're talking about with the IP and the patent technology that we have from MIT is around the idea of memory persistence and context understanding, right? That's a difficult problem because the challenge with the machine learning models is that it's difficult to bring in historical memory into those models naturally. So what we've done is we've come up with an approach to bring in a combination of a machine learning based approach as well as more of a systems based approach by tracking a state machine kind of a concept, but it's not quite a state machine. It's kind of our own clever workaround. But one of the pain points that we see is that when users are trying to ask multiple things or really have a conversation with the bot, having the memory understanding is very important. And even today, a lot of the bots that we see have a really hard time with that idea of memory understanding.
Okay, thank you. So why don't let's go back to the presentation, and then we do have a couple other questions coming up.
Yeah, sure thing. So just last thing I wanted to ask for the audience was that we're growing pretty fast. So we're expecting to over the next few months go to 30 employees, and probably by the end of next year we'll be at 60 or 70 employees is the plan. We're also looking to raise a large amount of money. So right now, as you might have noticed in the MIT article, we actually have not raised money from venture capital. We've been able to build the business on revenues from our customers, and we've had a very kind of controlled strategic growth journey so far. But over the next year, we're going to be raising some funding, and we want to become more aggressive and not only expanding into different kinds of verticals, but also going into different geographies. So one thing we're looking for is if you can help us get connected to different banks or cooperatives, credit unions in your geographies, but also connections to other companies for pilot opportunities, or even just other kind of businesses for partnerships. So we look to partner with other financial services companies that might do a banking platform or might do a telephony system or things like that. We partner with IT consulting companies so they can kind of become a system integration partner for our platform. And customer service types of companies, of course, fit naturally what we do because we're assisting with customer service and the customer experience. So that's our asks. The last thing I just wanted to mention. And otherwise, thanks for the time. And I I have my email address here. We have a general hello@posh.tech email. So, I'm definitely open to talking more with anyone who's interested, especially if there's any of those things that you can help us out with. That would be awesome. So I'll go ahead and pause my slide here, and we can go back to chatting face-to-face if that works for you.
Okay, so let's do it. So thanks for the outstanding presentation, Karan. Not sure if you saw in the chat, you may remember Giuseppe Zani, he's saying hi. His comments are pretty impressive, and his thank you for your awesome presentation. Yeah, that it is. Mm-hmm. So Felipe, do you think you can have the Rafael Montilla question in the screen? So there it is, Karan. So in the DCU chat example, your chatbot used some kind of a decision tree to help the bot identify the intention of the message alongside of the natural language processing. Can you comment on this?
Yeah, so I think it's important to have a balance of AI and business rules, right? Because when you're designing AI, if it's a purely AI-based model, you risk sometimes going outside of the domain that you're trying to operate in. You risk coloring outside the lines, if you will. So having business rules is strategic for not only having more control over the bot, but it's also very useful for guiding the bot to do certain things. So like when we're using the bot to serve products and offerings, we might want to triage the user down, right? You're looking at checking account or savings account. You're looking at loans for automobile or loans for home, for mortgage, or looking at loans for your business, right? There might be different, different types of products and offerings, and those are best encapsulated by having a decision tree. So, as much of the time as possible, we want to have the AI be the driver of the conversation, the predictions, everything. But having the decision tree is a good way to also control the upselling or the triaging, and also the general conversation scope as well.
Okay, all right. So something else, Karan. So you mentioned about your secret sauce, your patent. So where exactly, of course, we don't want details, but high level, where's your patent about? How would you guys differentiate, patent-wise from the pack?
Yeah, totally. So, one of the things that we recognize, and this is kind of going off of the question I just answered, is that it's very difficult to rely only on AI for everything right now. I mean, maybe in the future it can purely be AI generating a lot of this and stuff, and we're working our own NLP team and machine learning team to try to pioneer that as well. But as of now, and as of a couple of years ago even too, it was difficult to just rely on the AI for completely for context understanding or completely for the full conversation dialogue. So, as part of the ability to do context understanding or memory persistence, which is, the idea behind our patent, we realized that there has to be a combination of systems approach, like state machine based approach, along with the machine learning and the AI as well. So basically what we did is we actually created our own version of Python. So Python, the programming language, it's open source. We basically implemented a kind of a new flair of Python. We actually call it Pause. So we named our own programming language called Pause, which is basically just built off of the Python syntax, but it allows the program to automatically maintain its own state machine. So instead of having the user, the bot's developer, to think about all the different context use cases and the states, our program by itself is able to actually keep track of states, and it complements the AI really well. So the AI is able to use its own beliefs and knowledge of where we are in terms of memory and state, but you have the other side of it, which is the system side, the state tracking side, which is actually being maintained through our programming language. So using both, we're able to have pretty robust multi-threading and memory persistence.
All right, thank you. And switching a little bit from the technical world to the business, space. So, what's Posh's business model? How do you guys make money? How do you charge your customers?
Yeah, great question. So we're a SaaS company. So we have our AI platform. It includes the analytics. It includes the content management. It includes the GUI, right? It includes the AI models and everything like that. So we license that to our customers. We provide services as well. So right now, some of our customers, they want us to come in and actually provide the configuration and stuff like that. So we provide us services as well. But the main business model is a SaaS model. And we price, based on volume of conversations and complexity of the use cases.
All right. You mentioned NCR, so I know them really well. I worked before MIT, I worked for one of those global banks, and we had NCR as NCR, one of our vendors, so I know them like pretty well. Okay, good to know you guys are connected. These guys are massive major vendors, so they can help you a lot. So they're talking to most banks, at least in the US. So yeah, good to know you guys are plugging them with NCR. Okay, what else we have here? Okay, we talked about, I think you mentioned, we have a question here, but I think you mentioned at the very beginning about, so the question is, where does the AI live? Cloud, on-prem, so can you comment on this?
Yeah, good question. So we run on GPUs, right? We need GPUs to kind of power our pretty large models. So we deploy right now on Google Cloud Platform, GCP. So most of our AI lives in GCP, but a lot of our customers, like a lot of our bank customers, they actually have their own systems on premise. So all of their systems are on premise. So our solution needs to be able to not only run our GPU models and stuff in the cloud, but our chatbot has to also be able to connect to their on-premise systems as well. So we usually will, we have a number of different ways that we do it. Again, we have auditing. We were audited for security and everything like that. But we usually will deploy a middleware on premise. The middleware's job is to have a secure connection with our cloud system, to have very strict permissioning and make sure that everything is being securely done between our cloud system and the middleware. But the middleware is kind of where the connection happens to the on-premise systems of our customers. So we have a kind of a hybrid model where we deploy the middleware on-premise, but a lot of our AI is actually running in GCP.
Okay, great. Thank you. So Felipe, would you please bring the next question, which could possibly be our last question from Pisani. So how does the bot handle a question with multiple intents, more than one inquirer on the same sentence? And what if those intents are contradictory? What if, I think it's what if, and what if those intents are contradictory?
Yeah, that's a good question. So our bot is able to do clarification. So what we do with our model scoring is that we try to find that when our model is generating its belief of top response or top 2 responses or top 3 responses, if there's not a significant variation in those scores, we're not going to assume that the bot is confident that it knows exactly what you're asking. So we can actually use the bot to do a clarification. Did you mean this or that? If the user is asking multiple different questions, that's where we basically are treating it as different conversational threads. So we can start off the different multi-threading. So if I say, I want the transfer my money from this account to this account, and I also want to get an update on my credit card spending, and I also want to see if I can get this information. So when you have that multi-step question, we're able to treat that as different threads. So that idea of having the context understanding and multi-threading, that actually factors into the idea of having multiple questions or multiple intents coming in. On the contradictory side, I mean, that's interesting. So if a user is like, do something and also don't do something, it's probably going to affect how our threading works, where we're going to have a conflict where we're trying to do an action and undo an action. So in that situation, we'll have to fail gracefully, either ask the user to clarify what they want to do again, like a clarification, or, in what we do, a lot of the cases where we don't have a high confidence is we'll see if we can just connect them to a human support agent so that they don't get frustrated.
Okay. All right. And I said this would be the last question, but let me ask, I have a question, if you allow me for a last question. So when do you guys think or believe, not sure if you have this in your roadmap, that you guys would have like retail companies like B2W, the retail space, a large vendor player? I mean, in the retail space, do you guys have anything in your pipeline for retail?
Yeah. So, we've actually been talking to Walmart for some time now. So, we actually got it connected to them a few months back, but then, the pandemic happened, so things, got affected. But they have an innovation lab, AI focused innovation lab in Austin, Texas. And so I actually went to Austin and met with their innovation lab, and that's a pretty interesting idea. So I don't know if I can talk too much about that, but there's potentially some cool stuff happening there. But we're looking for more opportunities in different verticals. We've been doing really well with banking, so it makes sense that we're spending a lot of our energy on growing the banking business. But we have a SaaS product, so we're looking for opportunities to work with companies in other verticals too.
All right. Excellent. Outstanding, Karan. So before we're heading to the end, so any final words, anything you want to reinforce your ask? Anything before we head out?
Yeah, I mean, so, we're first of all, I mentioned those asks on the slide. We're looking for connections to partnerships, also customers and pilots and different kinds of businesses who you think could benefit from our technology. But, other than that, I mean, we're growing our team, and, we're trying to do some really awesome stuff. So if there are really great, AI people that you guys know, or, up and coming, smart researchers and stuff like that, definitely point them to Posh, because we're going to be growing our team probably by another 2 or 3x over the next 12 months.
Okay, Karan, excellent. So on behalf of B2W, let me thank you again for joining the summit this year. So then those in the audience, so if you guys want to learn more about what Posh is doing, you can reach them out through their website. Whenever you guys come to Boston, I know it's hard traveling now, but we're here, both MIT and Posh in the Boston area. Very happy to receive you guys. And then I'll just switch now to Portuguese, if you don't mind, Karan, and then we're going to have Natalia in a minute. So thanks again, and talk to you soon.
Yep, thank you.
Ok, thank you. Pessoal, agora em português, queria agradecer a todos vocês aí que participaram da apresentação do Karan, da Posh. Obrigado pelas perguntas. Se tiverem mais perguntas, talvez o pessoal da B2W podem fazer essas perguntas chegar até nós do MIT, que com prazer falaremos com o time da Posh, com o Karan, para que possa respondê-las. Meu muito obrigado mais uma vez à Natália, ao Felipe, ao Pisani, ao time da B2W. E eu quero reforçar aqui, a B2W é um dos, com muita gratidão que temos a B2W entre os nossos 250, mais ou menos, parceiros no mundo inteiro, empresas como Apple, como Samsung, como Boeing, como várias empresas desse porte que todos vocês conhecem. A B2W é uma dessas empresas, parceiras do MIT. Obrigado de novo a todos vocês. Natália, eu passo a bola para você, então. Muito obrigado.
Obrigada, Yuri. Obrigada, Karan, também. A gente vai continuar também com a programação agora para todo mundo saber. Nessa parte de tecnologia, a gente dá uma pausa agora para que a gente foque no Summit Go Live, que vai ser no dia 28 de agosto. Então, convido todo mundo também para participar desse dia. E agradecer vocês, Yuri, pela parceria, como sempre. Teremos uma outra, palestra também, trazendo do MIT aí na programação. Então, acompanhem também a programação de tecnologia, que a gente vai continuar, e depois também do dia 28. Obrigada e até a próxima para todo mundo.
Obrigado. Thank you, Karan. See you. Take care. Ciao.
Thank you, Karan.
Bye.